continue on this, issue with presidential issues you're running on. I did not see you at Milwaukee. We were at the debate.
Yeah.
And I know you're talking about...
I was in Milwaukee.
You were in Milwaukee.
I was in the city of Milwaukee. I was not at the debate because the RNC at the last minute shafted me. I mean, I met all the debate criteria, 40,000 individual donors.
You and Suarez, I believe.
Suarez, I don't know about his situation.
Right.
I just know about mine. I hit the 40,000 individual donors. 200 had to come from 20 different states. We had 200 from 37 different states. I had to submit 3 polls where I was at 1% or better. I did that. I get a phone call from Ronna McDaniel, the chair of the GOP, and David Bossie, the debate czar, and they tell me I'm not eligible for the debate because one of the polls I submitted is not going to be used. I said, which one? Rasmussen. Why? It's affiliated with the Trump campaign. I said, well, assuming that's true, why is that my problem? And they said any poll affiliated with any candidate can't be used by any other candidate. Rasmussen then put out a statement and said Trump is not affiliated with our campaign, with our poll. Had nothing to do with our poll. There's no reason why Elder can't use it. So even if I had picked up the phone and called Rasmussen before I submitted the poll and said, by the way, are you affiliated with Trump? They would have said no. Then I submitted a 4th poll, and Ronna McDaniel said you submitted it too late. Well, it's true. I submitted it after their deadline. One, I didn't know I needed to submit another one, but more importantly, they finished their polling before the deadline. They didn't release the results until after the deadline, but they finished the polling before the deadline. So there was enough wiggle room where, in my opinion, had they wanted me up there, they could have allowed me up there. My lawyer is the former chair of the Federal Election Commission, and he argues that because the RNC failed to apply the criteria fairly to Elder, what they did, in effect, was give an in-kind contribution to the 8 people who were up there on that debate stage. And the value of that in-kind contribution, based on how much Fox charges for a spot, is almost $100 million. And if you don't put Elder up there, we gave them until 2 o'clock on the debate day to change their mind. We're going to file a complaint with the FEC. Well, 2 o'clock came and went, and we've now filed that complaint. Now the next step is to get on the debate stage on the 27th of this month in
Reagan Library in Simi Valley. Yeah.
3% in 3 different polls, plus 50,000 individual donors. As for the 50,000 individual donors, that's not going to be a problem, but the 3% is. And 2 days ago, we launched a $500,000 ad campaign to try and get my numbers up.
I saw that.
So it's going to be a coin toss.
Larry, out of I'm pretty sure you saw it, the first debate. If you had to choose, if you weren't even in the race,
right.
if you had to pick out of all of them, I'm pretty sure you saw, who would you put at the top?
Who won?
Who won that night?
Donald Trump. I'm serious.
Still,
I'm serious.
Yeah.
By not going, that was smart not to go. I thought, and I felt this way when I ran for governor. I did not say a single negative thing about any of my Republican rivals, not one time. I shot right to the top, and it wasn't because I was a front runner. I didn't expect that, but I was. I felt that the target was Gavin Newsom. Remember, it was a 2-part deal. The first part is, do you want this man recalled? It doesn't matter what happens on the second part if he isn't recalled. And every single time somebody said, what do you think about John Cox? John Cox was the guy that ran against Gavin Newsom the first time, and he also ran as a replacement candidate. I said, it's not about John Cox. It's about what Gavin Newsom did by shutting down California in a more severe way than anybody else. It's about people leaving California for the very first time in 170 years. It's about crime. It's about homelessness. It's about the awful school budget. It's about how bad our schools are doing. It's about the fact that we have an underfunded pension liability of $1.5 trillion in California. If the others had said that, instead of saying, well, Elder's this, Elder's that, Elder's that, I think the first part might have passed. So I feel the same way about this debate. We ought to all come together, meaning Republicans, and make sure that Biden doesn't get 4 more years. The idea that we can't at least agree not to call Donald Trump an insurrectionist, as one of them did up there, you got to be kidding me. We can't agree on the borders, on crime, on this defund the police nonsense. We ought to be talking about that. And the fact that Republicans were taking shots at each other meant, in my opinion, that Donald Trump won.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and calling the insurrectionists. I don't know if you guys saw yesterday, Kamala Harris did a speech about 9/11, and she compared January 6th to Pearl Harbor and 9/11.
It's despicable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
The second debate that Trump may or may not go to, A, do you think he should go? And B, why do you think that even the DeSantises, certainly the Pences of the world, the Christies of the world, even Nikki Haley, are not going to coalesce around Trump?
I'd be the biggest hypocrite in the world if I were to tell Donald Trump he should go to the second debate or even the first one. I didn't go to any of my debates when I was running for governor. They had about a half a dozen of them. And I said the same thing I just said to you. I said there's no point in us getting into a circular firing squad and giving Gavin Newsom video he's going to use against whoever it is who's the front runner. And that's exactly what in my opinion, happened. Look, Chris Christie is probably the only one up there that I think I feel that any of the 8 people up there is a better president than Joe Biden, with the exception of Chris Christie. The fact that he's referred to Donald Trump as an insurrectionist and can't understand that what's happening to our country with this 2-tier system of justice is much more important than your hostility towards Donald Trump. I don't understand that.
What are your thoughts on Vivek? I know that you've said high praise about him. You also said that he stole a line from you about the number one problem.
He did.
What are his chances?
Look, the 800-pound gorilla in the room is Donald Trump. He's not going anywhere. Unless he has a health problem or something like that, I can't imagine that he's not going to get the nomination right now. I have a problem with anybody who stands up there and says, quote, "I'm the only one up here who's not bought and paid for," close quote, which is what he said, Vivek said. Really? Tim Scott's bought and paid for? Really? 37 years old, never run for office before, you're the only one who's not bought and paid for? I thought that was a bit much. Regarding him stealing my line, here's the backstory. On one of our, we've been in Iowa, New Hampshire many times. I've seen him speak many times. He heard me speak many times. He's never once referred to the epidemic of fatherlessness. So right before the first debate, he comes up to me at one of our events, I forget where, and he said, can I talk to you privately? I said, sure, step into my office. We went over to the side a little bit. And he said, if you don't make the debate, will you endorse me? And I said, I cannot promise that. I can tell you this. If I don't make the debate, say something to the effect of, my friend Larry Elder can't be up here. However, he has brought to the forefront the issue of the epidemic of fatherlessness, and I salute him for having done that. As you know, he said part of that, but did not give me any attribution. I'm okay with the fact that he's raised the issue. That's much more important than getting attribution, but he did say he was going to do that and then didn't do it. By the way, for decades, I have been saying we've got a country to save. Guess who said that during the debate? Nikki Haley. Quote, we've got a country to save. Just saying.
So it sounds like you're going to be sort of the president whisperer at this point.
So I was there in spirit,
ghostwriter,
if not in body.
What is this, Rob?
This is a clip of Larry talking about the fatherless epidemic.
Go ahead and play that. Play that.
Epidemic of fatherlessness. So part of the problem is we also have a federal government that pays single women more not to have a man in the house than to have a man in the house, contributing to an epidemic of fatherlessness.
Larry, you might have to just do the voiceover for us.
Yeah, I was.
Rob, what's this?
Yeah, this is the GOP Lincoln.
That's all.
Look, I think Vivek is.
All of us spoke.
I think Vivek is an absolute stud, but this isn't the first time he's been accused of stealing lines. His first line was, I'm a skinny little kid with a funny last name. He took that from Obama.
Yeah.
But they say like we stand on the shoulders of giants. Can it just be seen as look, I'm just using what works?
Right.
And can you blame him?
Somebody once said originality is the art of concealing your source. So, and Joe Biden, as you know, he had at least 1 or 2 campaigns go supernova because he stole from other people, didn't give them attribution.
Well, even Donald Trump took "Make America Great Again" from Ronald Reagan.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some of these things are just duplicatable.
Yeah. You're right.
Okay. We'll agree to agree then.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on RFK? What are your thoughts on RFK?
I think he's got some interesting ideas. I mean, he's not your typical Democrat, but he is a Democrat. He is. I've not heard him say anything about taxes being too high, regulations being too high. I've never heard him say anything about we should be rolling back this march towards single payer on health care. So he's still a Democrat, although he's a much more rational one than some of the others. He was opposed to the lockdowns. He said that he doesn't believe any additional gun control law will do anything about gun violence, although he does support an assault weapons ban. So he's a little more rational than the average Democrat, but he's still a Democrat.
He's still a Democrat.
Still a Democrat.
And you saw what they did with New Hampshire. Pretty much there's nothing he can do to be nominated, to win, anything. They pretty much locked him out. So if that's the case, why is he still campaigning?
You have to ask him. I mean, people run for different reasons.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast,
Click right here.